Morning.
Morning.
How are you? Good. Trying to get some homework here put together for you. Like, oh no, not that.
No, please, that. I actually don't mind.
Oh, it's not that bad. It really isn't.
No, it's not. It's pretty simple stuff.
Yeah, it kind of is, but in a way, it's kind of like it's just handwriting all this stuff. What I'd rather have you doing is physical stuff, so that you understand what you're doing as you're reading it.
Right.
Okay.
Is typing out acceptable too, or does it have to be handwritten?
For your what? Your homework?
Yeah, for whatever assignments we have to do that regard, some sort of
No,
typing.
no, you can handwrite it or you can type it. You just
Okay.
have to make sure that when I say finish, like today there's like 6.1. I don't know if I had you finish 6.1, but if I'll get to like say 6.1, then I'll say, okay, go to 6.1 in your homework, on the computer, you go to lab and you pull it up and then it says you have a learning connection and then you have a discussion and you have to do all of those things on there. Okay, the assignment and then you do the challenge. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So pretty much that covers it really. Uh-oh, there's more people here. I'm like, oh, not watching the. Oops. I'm like, oops. Okay. Here's Griselda. But I'm gonna lose my page here. Okay. 79, 77. 80, 81. Okay, here's some more Danielle. There we go. So I can see it a little bit better. 87. Hi. Three. Oh, okay. There we go. I was trying to get my pages all set in order. Two more people, huh? Okay, admit all. There you guys go. Bingo. Let me get my attendance sheet. Are you guys getting excited about Thanksgiving? Yeah, who's cooking? Oh, I got Griselda's cooking. Who else?
I'm cooking some green bean casserole.
That's cooking still. If you've got to put it together, right? All right, let me see here. I got Yasara's on here. Angela's here. Jasmine in yet? No, not yet. Okay. Griselda's here. Stephanie's here. Catalina in yet? No. Okay. Diana, no. Okay. No, Megan. Got Danielle. Avery, is she in here yet? Nope. Okay. Jennifer. Okay. So who have I got in here? Oh, Avery is in here. Okay. Avery. Oops. That's her now. Sorry. Jasmine. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
See if I got everybody in here. All right, still waiting for a couple people. Oops. I want to put them in here before I try and pull up the slides. I was going to try and do that again. Okay.
Are we still on chapter 6, Miss Janie?
Yeah, you've already
Okay.
done this, huh? A couple of you have already finished this one because we went through it like at least twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done it, but I was just checking.
Yeah, we're still on that boring subject. That's Catalina. I'm like waiting. I can't wait till it's turkey, but I gotta have like something else besides turkey because I got sick on turkey last time. I'm afraid of it now. And that was my favorite meat.
My favorite is the ham.
Really?
Yeah, I
There's-
love the ham.
There's a what is that company that makes those really good hams? I'm trying to think of the name of it. They're like, oh, they're so good. They're glazed. I'm trying to remember. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
There's
I
a
don't know.
company that makes hams that are really, really good. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Shoot, I'll think of it and tell you. But you've never had them before, apparently?
I don't know. I'm never the one to make the hams. I don't know, but I love it. So
Like there's
whenever
a company that makes a really good ham.
okay.
I'm just trying, it's like not at the grocery store, that kind of stuff. I know it sounds crazy, but it really is. That's all they make there is just hams. And they're like, all you have to do is preheat them, but they're so good. The honey glazed ham or something like that. What are you laughing at, Danielle?
Oh, I think
You
I
know
know
what
what
I'm
you're
talking
talking about. Well, I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't know if we get that one. I don't know.
Yeah, 'cause
The
you can
kind
get
that's
the
in like
other-
that tin. It's like it comes in a tin thing.
I think so.
Yeah, I've never had that one, but I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, it's like so good. I'm like looking up on my phone, what the hell is that name? So I'm waiting for a couple people just to get in here. Okay. We're just gonna do honey glazed ham and see what happens. Okay, there's one, Megan's in there. Okay. Honey glazed. There we go. Of course, it doesn't come up in here. I'm like, I will find it eventually. In the meantime, we are on, I think on 177. Oh, wait, no, nope, that's not it. Hold on. We should be on 178. Is that not right? The fire safety?
You're right. It's 178.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Who have I got in here now? All right, let me just take a roll check to make sure I've got everybody, okay? Yusara, she's in there. Angela, Jasmine, Griselda, Stephanie, Catalina, you in there? Okay. Diana, she's not in yet. Okay. Avery, Danielle, and Megan, right? So the only one we're missing is Diana. Okay. All right, so is everyone on page 178? So I know this is bad. Did I have you guys do 6.1 already, like on the lab last week? Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure because I don't want to give you that again. That's what I'm thinking. And we haven't finished 6.1 completely, so I don't want to give you 6.2 because that's basically the equipment. You know, it goes down to like your steamer and all that kind of stuff. Oh, what was that? Was that a bark?
Miss Janie, weren't we supposed to finish 6.2 for homework last week?
I don't think so.
Through
Yeah,
the
we
text
did.
message?
We did too?
We did
Yeah,
6.1 and
6.2.
6.2.
Oh, okay, all right. So I'm not giving you that. I'll have some other little tidbits for you. Give me a second. I'm going to try and pull up our other slides, okay? Just for a quick second, okay? And I'll be right back. Here we go. Come on, it's loading. Okay, it's coming up here. So I will have some homework for you when we give a little break. I'm going to pull up some electricity notes for you. Okay, here we go. Has Diana tried to come into the room yet? Anybody see her? Okay. Here it comes. I tried doing this before and then it just takes forever for it to come up, and it comes up faster when I already have you in the room.
Stephanie, I'm so jealous. You have your Christmas tree up and everything. It looks pretty.
Oh, that reminds me. I got these little things I'm going to show you in a minute. Those ornaments. And then you get to paint them. So you get to be creative. I'm going to show you here.
Thank you, Jasmine.
When I can bring this up. Huh?
Oh, I was just
There's
telling her
all
thank
kinds
you.
of stuff. Okay. And I'll bring the paints in next Thursday for you, okay? Right. This is coming up. So 1, 2, 3. 4. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm just waiting for this thing to pop up here. And then just change the screen on me. There's another one. Right. Not what I wanted. There. Okay, aesthetics. Come on. Okay, it's gotten up to the page. Sorry, guys. You can't even go faster on this thing. It just goes to a certain point and then it sits there. Okay. Are you still there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good. All right. Okay. I'm bringing the page up and it'll have to download. So I'll come back to the screen and I'm going to show you something. I'm all excited. 1, 2, 4, 9, 10. So I've got 10, I think, little ones. Because I couldn't find another package of this, but I've got 10 or 12 of the big ones. So almost there. It's downloading the whole thing now. I had to get to that page. So you'll be able to, like on these little ornaments, you'll be able to paint like a Christmas tree or a snowman or whatever scenery that you want on the back of it. Okay. All right. So I've got the page up and then let me find the page where we're at. There you go. Come on. Okay. There we go. Okay. There we go. All right. So let me share the screen. But first, let me show you these. I don't know if you can see them. There's two of them in my hand. Let's see. Kind of look like these, or they'll look like, oops, like this. They're little tiny ones. And then I have bigger ones that are like this big. So you have your choice of the little, and they're wooden little sticks, I guess, with a little hole in it. So you put a ribbon in it. So you can have a little fun with that and paint some sceneries in there. Okay. Unless you come up with your own little ornament, that's what we'll end up using. And I'll bring in some little red and green or gold ribbon. How's that? That sound like a plan? All right, let's share the screen. All right, let's see what you've got. Have you got fire extinguishers on your screen yet?
It's still loading, I think.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah,
There
no.
it is.
Okay, good. All right. I'm just going to check something really quick. All right, so right before this, okay, yep, it's right before this. All right, here we're going to go. Where it says 178 on your page, right? All right, you have fire safety and it says in the event of a fire, correct? And then you have your little bullets. And the
Oh.
first bullet is to immediately pull the cord from the socket
Mhm.
while wearing protective covering. Basically, they want you to have rubber gloves on. So immediately pull the cord from the socket wearing rubber gloves. Okay. Immediately pull the cord from the socket while wearing protective gloves or rubber gloves. All right, the second one is to immediately locate and use the fire extinguisher. So immediately locate and use the fire extinguisher. 1 second. Couldn't figure out why I couldn't see. Okay. All right, so that second one was immediately locate and use the fire extinguisher. Then it says, in the event of being trapped in a smoke-filled room or building, that next little block is to open the windows for air. Okay, so that third box is open the windows for air. And you're going to go to the next column, and that first block there, it says stay low to the ground and exit immediately.
Stay what?
Stay low to the ground, okay, and exit immediately. Okay, your next block is check the doors for temperature. Okay, because if there's an active fire, that door is going to be very hot. So just write in there, check the doors for temperature and signs of an active fire. So check the doors for temperature and signs of an active fire. Right. The next one is to open that door slowly after feeling it. Okay, open the door slowly after feeling it. And your last one is to dial 911 if you're trapped. Okay, you want to line the bottom of the door with wet towels. Okay, so that smoke comes through underneath the door, at least it's got a blockage, and that wet towel is going to pick up some of that smoke so you're not inhaling it. So dial 911 if trapped, line the bottom of the door with wet towels.
Can you repeat that one, Miss Janie?
Dial 911 if trapped, okay? And then you're going to line the bottom of the door with wet towels because it's going to keep the smoke from coming in. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like if there's a door closed and there's a fire on the other side of it, it's actually going to smoke up your room and it's going to be coming from underneath the door because there's like about, I don't know, an inch underneath that door that's kind of open. So if you line it with wet towels, when the smoke starts to come in, it gets trapped into that wet towel. So it saves you a couple of minutes of breathing time. Okay. I'm going to change this slide because this next part of this fire extinguishers is on the next slide. Basically, this is what we went through. Immediately pull the plug from the socket, right? Wearing your protective covering, such as your rubber gloves. Immediately locate and use the fire extinguisher. If trapped in a smoke-filled room, open the windows for air, stay low to the ground and exit immediately if possible, and check all the doors for heat and signs of a fire before opening. All right, this is going down to where your fire extinguishers are at, okay? So your first bullet is going to be a necessary part of any skincare center. Okay, a necessary part of any skincare center. And the electrical, excuse me, the second bullet there is the electrical fire cannot be put out with water. Do you remember what we said, how to put out an electrical fire? Anyone?
You smother it.
Yeah. All right, the third one, they're talking about the fire extinguisher again. It should be installed 4 feet from the floor in areas where there's potential hazard or near an exit. So it's right here on our screen, should be installed 4 feet from the floor in areas with potential hazards and near an exit. Ours is in the lab, in our lab where the sink is, it's right next to the door, that little closet. And then the last bullet there is position in areas where chemicals are kept, usually in the kitchen or where it's easily accessible. So since we have chemicals in our back lab right in there, because I have that dermalogical cabinet, and then next to that closet, I have more chemicals in there. So that's why the fire extinguisher for our department is right there. Okay. Avery, have you gotten these in yet? The ones that are on the screen?
I'm working on the last one still.
Right, I just wanted to see where you're at. That's why I'm asking. Okay. Does anyone know how to use a fire extinguisher or ever had to use one? How about that? No?
You just you hold it right and then you press the button.
Close. You're gonna pull the handle, but we'll go through those steps here in just a second. When Avery's finished here, I'll move to the next slide. Because the fire extinguisher has to be inspected periodically.
I'm done. We can move forward.
All right, there we go. All right, so this next part is the inspection. Okay, so the first block is to check that the pressure indicator is in the green zone because it's called the ready zone. Okay, so check that the pressure indicator is green in the ready zone. The second one's going to be ensure the lock pin is firmly in place. You don't want to have it already out. The third one would be to check the discharge nozzle to make sure it's free from obstruction, like you don't have anything blocking it. And then your last one is to check the unit for dents, corrosion, or evidence of tampering. Okay, so when these companies that you hire to come out and check your extinguishers, they'll actually put the date on there and it runs through so many steps that they have to mark off on their little checklist. Okay, so don't think just because you have the fire extinguisher there that it doesn't need to be periodically checked. I think it's like once every 4 or 5 months, maybe once every 6 months, I'm not sure, but we have a company that comes in and then checks all of ours here and then signs them off so that they are ready to go and they haven't been tampered with. Because trust me, some certain things get tampered with here in the school. So check that the pressure indicator is green. Ensure that the lock pin is firmly in place. Check that the discharge nozzle is free from obstruction. And then check the unit for dents or corrosion or evidence of tampering. Because it's going to make sure that you want to make sure it's working properly. Okay. All right, Avery, how am I doing here? Oops, I'm looking on my list here. Did you get
You're
all
good.
this?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So the next part is how to operate this. Okay, so it's going to tell you to operate the fire extinguisher. Okay. The first one is, we're using the acronym PASS, first of all. So it's pull the pin on the handle. Okay. Then you're going to aim the hose at the base of the fire from 6 feet away. Then you're going to squeeze the handle to begin the flow of the chemical, and then spray the chemical discharge back and forth over the fire. So you're gonna have to just keep moving in it. Okay. Pull the pin on the handle, aim the hose at the base of the fire. Okay, squeeze the handle to begin that flow. Spray the chemical discharge back and forth over the fire. And if there's any doubt that that fire extinguisher will work properly or improperly, make sure that you call the fire department ASAP. Okay, because they can go up, depending on the building itself, what it's made out of, it can go up pretty fast. Ours did. We didn't realize how fast ours went up. You know, these are older buildings, that's why. A lot of wood in there. Okay. Why is electricity a critical resource in the skincare center?
You
Well,
need
because
it
you're
for
right.
your for all your electrical modalities.
There you go. I'm glad you used that word because that's one of those key words that you need to know for board. Okay, and it just basically means another term for the electrical equipment that we use. But yes, it's critical to have the electricity in there because it's used to use your steamers, it's used to turn the lights on, it's used for muscle relaxation. It's like all of our skincare equipment that requires machinery need electricity to work. So if you look at the bottom where it says the learning connection, okay, and we're just going to kind of fill this in rather quickly. The first one says a material that allows the electricity to flow through it easily is called. Anyone want to guess?
Conductor.
Conductor, correct. Okay. The second one is a material that does not allow the flow of electric current through it. Go ahead, Danielle.
No, I'm just blurting out stuff. I know I'm not right.
Okay, it's an insulator.
I was close. I said inhibitor. For some reason, I said inhibitor. I was like,
That's okay. All right. A reusable device that breaks the flow of current when an overload occurs is called, this is
A
going to be
circuit
for you,
breaker.
a circuit breaker. Good. Okay. And then a safety device that's called a three-way system is also known as what?
Grounding wire.
Yep, grounding wire is correct. And our last one there is the human contact with an electric current causes what?
A shock.
Okay.
Wait,
A shock. Yep, that's it. Good. Okay. Let me turn the page here. And go through your self-check. These were our, oh, there's a couple we didn't know, okay. Materials that do not allow the current pass through them are called prisms. Is that true or false? We just went through that one. I didn't know they were true or false till just now. So the material that best transports electricity are called conductors. Is that true or false?
True.
True. Okay, materials that do not allow it to pass through are called prisms.
False.
False. Okay, the unit of electrical strength is called an amp.
Yes. True.
It's true. Okay, and then a unit of electrical pressure is called a ohm.
False.
False. Good. Okay, here's some more. All right. The two forms of an electric current are known as, what do you think? How about AC and DC? We have alternating current and direct current, right? The name for the measure of how much electrical energy is being used is called a, think about what your light bulbs have on them.
Watt.
Watts. Okay. All right. Okay, here's that reusable device that breaks the flow of current when an overload occurs. Whoever said the last answer
The
for this one,
circuit
remember?
breaker?
Yep, a circuit breaker. And then a shock that passes through a small part of the body is called
A local shock?
a local shock. Yeah, because it's little. Okay. So, all right, we're just gonna check the answers. We were right on the first one. The second one was correct. The third one we got right. And the fourth one we got right, right? Okay. Moving on to your multiple choice. Those two forms are AC and DC. The measurement is called a watt. And a reusable safety device is a circuit breaker. And then a shock that passes through a small part of the body is going to be a local shock. Not bad. You guys did pretty good. All right. This is just a review. Vocabulary of electricity. Electricity is a form of energy that produces light, heat, magnetic, and chemical changes. Can anybody give me an example of light, heat, magnetic, and chemical changes? The ones that I had given you. Anybody remember?
Is
Like
it
the
the chemical
Okay,
change?
is what?
I forgot. Never mind.
All right, chemical changes would be galvanic current. Okay, because anytime they've got chemicals and electricity together, they're always referring back to that galvanic current. Okay, the lights are basically the lights that we use to see with, right? But they're also known as infrared or infrared lamp. Okay, ultraviolet lights. Heat can be your steamer. Okay, it could be high frequency even. And but your magnetic, excuse me, is your high frequency. So you have light, heat, steamer, and a hot towel cabinet. That's what I was thinking of. And magnetic would be your high frequency, and your chemical changes would be your galvanic. So electric current is the movement of electricity along a path called a conductor. A load is the technical name for any electrically powered appliance. And then a conductor is a material that allows that electricity to flow through it easily. These would have been easy for you, huh? Okay, an insulator is a material that does not allow the flow of electric current through it. An amp would be a unit of electrical strength. Your volt is a unit of electrical pressure. An ohm is a unit of electrical resistance. Watt is the measure of how much electrical energy is being used. What is the term that the electricity company uses when they're measuring our electricity? Anybody remember?
It's a load.
No, it's basically how they measure how much electricity that we're using. So in home, you're using your watts, correct? For like light bulbs and stuff. but they use what's known as a kilowatt when they're measuring your electricity at home. On your electric bill, you'll be able to see where it says, okay, you're charged so much for each kilowatt. Okay, your electric current comes in two forms. Can you give me an example of AC and DC?
A battery and then a unit, a plug-in.
Yep, that's correct. So your AC would be your plug-in and your DC would be your battery. Good. Then you go into electrical safety, and these are safety devices installed in many appliances and buildings because of the possibility of an overload or a short circuit. Okay, those are like our three-prong systems. Okay, that's all right. What's up? On the, oh, I gave the roll sheets to Sue. I give them to her every Wednesday after I do Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay, she has them all. Okay, all right, sorry guys. Okay, I'm gonna stop this right here. Okay, there we go. Because they already have finished with that part of the electricity. So let's go back to 179 on your book, right? All right, and it's talking about electrotherapy treatments. Okay, and these are just facial treatments that require electricity. That's all that means, okay? So you can write in there facial treatments that require electricity. Oh, Jasmine, you don't feel too good, hon? Just cold in your house, huh? All right, electrical currents. Okay, this part is using that word that I told you about, Jasmine, modality. Okay, and it basically means the flow of electricity along a conductor. Okay, flow of electricity along a conductor. This next part's a little weird. It's equal to the ratio of voltage to resistance. I'm going to break that down again. It's equal to the ratio of voltage to resistance. Okay, so equal to the ratio of the voltage to the resistance. This is used in electrotherapy to create certain skin effects on the skin. Okay. So when we're using our galvanic current, we're using solutions in that electricity to go deeper into the skin, whether we're trying to introduce something to hydrate it or if we're trying to clean it, like a deeper cleanse. That's where we get to our galvanic, okay? So I'm going to have you fill in certain parts of this galvanic current. It's the only one out of all the machines that you use that's a direct current, okay? So you need to know that it's direct current, low voltage, high amperage. Okay, and that's how they're going to describe it in your test questions. It's the only direct current of low voltage and high amperage. Now remember, there's 4 pieces of equipment that you use that are safely used in our industry, but only 2 of them we're allowed to use, correct? We have high frequency, we have galvanic, we have sinusoidal, and we have faradic. Sinusoidal and faradic cannot be used in the state of California because they do cause muscle contractions. Okay, so 3 of those are going to be alternating current, and 1's going to be the direct current. Now, obviously, we have to plug in our direct current, correct? So we have to have, there's an adapter inside of that machine to change that direct current to alternating so I can plug it into the wall. Okay, but it is the only one that's direct because they'll ask you which machine is direct and which one is alternating. All right, so you have it's the only constant direct current, low voltage, high amperage that produces electrochemical effects. Okay, that produces electrochemical effects. And basically what that means is this: any test question for a board or even in class, when they're talking about chemicals and electricity in the same sentence or same question, it's always going to be galvanic current, always. It's the only one that we put the solutions in electricity together with. Now we can use our high frequency with a mass, but we're not using solutions to get it in there. Okay, do you understand what I mean by that? Okay, all right. you're also going to put in there, it's used to force a water-soluble product into the skin. Okay, it's used to force a water-soluble product into the skin. It causes the products to penetrate deeper. Okay, so if I was doing my deep pore cleanse, I would be using an alkaline solution to get in there and soften up that sebum in the follicle wall, so that when I did my extractions, it would be much easier to remove. If I was using it for, say, a serum that I want to introduce into that skin, and I want it to go deeper into the layers of the skin, I would be using serums with what's known as ionization. So what I want you to write in there, after you've gotten the direct current of low voltage, high amperage that produces electrochemical effects, okay, and then it's used to force water-soluble products into the skin, causing the products to penetrate deeper into the layers of the epidermis. It's also known as ionization, and that's IONIZATION, ionization. And now remember I said it needed an adapter to it, right? Because in order for me to plug it into the wall, all right, you're going to put in there, it requires a rectifier, okay? It requires a rectifier to convert alternating current to direct current, but that shouldn't be all right. It should be a converter, because the converter is going to take the direct to make it alternating. So that's what I want you to put in there. Why is this backwards? So you're going to write in there, it requires a converter that changes direct to alternating. Okay. Everyone got that in there? Do you understand what we're talking about here? Because these are those words that they're going to ask you a lot of questions for. And remember I told you about the pH scale. If you can understand the pH scale with your galvanic, it'll be a lot easier to answer questions, okay? Because basically that's what they're doing. The pH scale is only going to give you an acidic or an alkaline level in a water-based solution only, okay? So this is basically called phoresis, okay? When they're talking about the entire procedure, okay, of forcing a water-based solution into the skin, and it's talking about acidic or alkaline, and it will always say both of those in the same sentence, okay? So phoresis is forcing a water-based solution, alkaline or acid, into the skin using electricity. Now, when they're talking about deep pore cleansing, they're going to be doing what's known as anaphoresis, and that's using your alkaline products. Okay, if I'm going to be using an acid, it's going to be our cataphoresis. So I want you to understand that phoresis is the general term for both of them, okay? So it's a process of forcing an acid or an alkaline into the skin by using electricity. Now, years ago, before we decided we have products that can do a lot more work for us than before, the anaphoresis was used for not only just deep pore cleansing that follicle out, it was also used to bleach the skin. Okay, and what they would do is take an orange and cut it in half, and then the metal electrode would go through the orange, and so the meaty part of the orange would be placed on the skin, and that electrode going through that orange peel, and then you would turn the current on, and that orange would lighten the skin. So there was two ways of using that, either to clean that follicle out or to bleach up the skin. But nowadays we have products that do it for us, so we don't have to work so hard, and it doesn't have to look so dangerous. It's kind of funny that most people will most girls, okay, when you're learning this, they'd rather use the high frequency than the galvanic. And the galvanic is the one that's probably less, I guess, threatening to a client if they've never heard it before because of the noise. At high frequency is going to make a lot of noise. The galvanic's not. But the galvanic actually sends a solution through the tissues where the high frequency does not. So if I was trying to, calm a client down, I think it would be harder to say, it's just a little bit of electricity going through you and it's making this noise. Where the galvanic's awful quiet, sometimes you don't even know that you're using it unless you run over a tissue that's got like a pustule or a pimple underneath. Once you go over that little area, it's going to feel like little pins and needles, like when your foot falls asleep. Kind of feels like that when you go over it. Okay. Other than that, you don't feel anything at all. You might taste a little bit like metal. It's the best thing, the metal taste in your mouth. All right. So we're going to go down to anaphoresis. Okay. And there are two little blocks here, and I'm going to break it down even more. Okay. That's it, stretch. All right. Next to anaphoresis, where that purple block is. Okay. In the next block over, you're going to write, it allows an alkaline solution. Okay, it allows an alkaline solution to enter the skin when assisted with galvanic current and the negative pole. Okay. So it allows an alkaline solution to enter the skin when assisted by galvanic current and the negative pole. Okay. Right, just think of anaphoresis and alkaline being on the same side, because that basically is like cleaning, right? Stronger alkalines or soaps, right? All right. Go down to treatment, okay, because I'm going to break this down even more. All right, the treatment that we're doing to the client is called disincrustation, and it's spelled DISINCRUSTATION. Okay, and disincrustation is the treatment in which the blockages in the skin are broken down. Okay, it's a treatment in which blockages in the skin are broken down. Do you remember the word sphenification, where it says it liquefies things in the follicle? That's basically what the disincrustation is doing. Okay, it's liquefying it. Okay, so it's blockages in the skin are broken down, also known as deep pore cleansing. Okay. You are using an alkaline solution with a negative charge, which basically means, okay, you as the esthetician are going to be using the negative charge on the client's skin, and she's going to be holding the positive one, okay, because we have to have a complete circuit, which means a positive and negative, correct? All right, the client's going to hold the positive, and you are going to be working with the negative to loosen up the follicle wall so that you can do the impaction removal immediately following this. Okay. Benefits. Go down to benefits, and that first bullet you're going to put in there, it softens the tissue. Okay, it makes it easy to remove the impaction. The second one is going to expand the tissues. So it's widening it. And then the third one, it increases blood flow and sensitivity. Okay, increases blood flow and sensitivity. Okay. Everybody get all of that put in there? All right, go down to your cataphoresis now. Okay, and this is right across from your purple block. Okay, this allows an acidic solution to enter the skin when assisted by galvanic current and the positive pole. So it allows an acidic solution to enter the skin when assisted by galvanic current and the positive pole. Okay. So we're going to go to treatment. Okay, you're going to put in there iontophoresis, and I'll spell it for you. It's IONTOPHORESIS. Okay. Right, and this is the treatment in which the deeper layers of the epidermis are built up. Like this is when we're just pushing in, like our serums or, you know, things that are going to plump up that skin or actually really affect it. So it's talking about build up or nourished. Okay.
Can you say
And this
again,
is-
please?
Huh?
Can you say again, please?
Okay.
Deep what?
It's a treatment in which the deeper layers, okay, of the epidermis are built up or nourished. Okay. And it's basically entering that water-soluble solution and use the positive charge. Okay. This treatment is done after you've done extractions. Okay, but prior to your massage. In our industry, though, a lot of people don't do the massage part of it if they've done the galvanic because it's a lot of stimulation. Okay, but some people may want to use the massage afterwards. I look at it this way: if you use that anaphoresis at the beginning, right, and it's already stimulating the follicle so I can get the impaction out. If I do massage on there, I might be stimulating more oil. So I don't want to do that. So you see why we just kind of eliminated it when we're doing it for the male, for the deep pore cleansing part. The best way to kind of understand it is think of like cleansing and toning, but we're using electricity because the disincrustation is cleaning the follicle, right? Then we're going to actually remove the impaction or the blackhead, and then we're going to close it back down with our toner. Okay, it's going to push solutions in there to nourish it and then close it back down again. So that's the easiest way to understand how these two processes work. Okay. In this one, the esthetician is going to hold the positive pole and the client's going to hold the negative pole. So they're going to switch. Sometimes it's just as simple as switching the electrodes between you and the client. And then other times it means removing from the positive to the negative and vice versa. Okay, so it just depends on the machine itself. It might be a switch that hits positive to negative. Okay, so you just have to read the instructions on the manufacturer, how your equipment works. Go to the benefits. There's quite a few on this one. The first one is it penetrates specific product into the skin. It penetrates specific product into the skin. The second one is going to tighten and firm the tissue. The next one is going to be, it contracts the follicle wall. Because remember on the first step, which was the anaphoresis, it softened it. Now we're going to contract it. So let's contract the follicle wall. The next one is to constrict the blood vessels and decrease the blood flow. So constrict blood vessels and decrease blood flow. Your next column, you have soothes sensory nerve endings and decreases the sensitivity. So soothes sensory nerve endings and decreases sensitivity. And the next one is to create an antibacterial effect on the skin. creates an antibacterial effect on the skin. And this last one is really important because it really does do this. It actually eases post-extraction irritation. So that means, instead of the client walking out with their face all red and swollen because you've removed, the impaction of the blackheads, this actually calms the skin down so that it doesn't show like all red and inflamed. It literally calms it down. So she walks out not feeling like her whole face has been kicked at. So it's a nice calming effect on the skin. Okay, so here we go again, talking about cleansing and toning with electricity. That's the simplest way I can explain what galvanic is used for. When we're using the anaphoresis treatment first, we're softening the follicle so we can do extraction removal easily, okay? The second step is basically to close it back down and kill all that bacteria. If I'm going to use it for dry skin or something, I really want to push something nourishing into that skin, okay, I'm not going to do the first step being the positive. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a heat mask to soften up that skin so it will accept that serum and build up that skin and nourish it. And then I will follow back with the positive pole to close it back down again. So there's two ways of softening that skin to get the solutions into the skin. One is using that electricity, right? And the negative pole to get it in to clean it out. And the other one is to use a heat lamp or a heat mask onto the face first, and then always follow with the positive pole behind it, okay, on both of them. Does that make sense? Because I didn't want you to think that if you did one with the negative pole first and then you do the positive, that doing it the opposite for dry skin. It's not how it works. You just have to keep remembering that the second step is always like closing it back down, okay? And the only way to open something up is to heat it up, okay, or soften it up with a solution. Does everybody understand that part? Okay. How about you, Avery? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was listening.
Okay.
It makes sense.
So you can understand why you need to kind of work with the pH scale when you're using this, because that pH scale is the only thing that's going to give you the water soluble, I guess, acidity or alkalinity. Okay, it'll measure it for us. Okay, go over to 180 on your workbook. And it's talking about the polarity. And this is basically what they're talking about, your positive and negative, all right? So next to polarity, you're just going to put, it has opposite poles in an electric current. It has opposite poles in an electric current. So what they mean by this is poles of the same charge will actually repel each other. And then poles of the opposite will attract each other. So kind of like how magnets would work. So there's a way to test for the polarity in the machine. So sometimes, and this is what was so weird, is when I used one of our machines one time, it didn't seem like it was working, okay? Because I was actually had the electricity up pretty high and I was going over a client's skin and she couldn't feel anything on. This is odd. I go, well, how am I going to test to make sure that it's actually working, right? So what you're going to do, and if you write this in where it says 1 and 2, in the first one, you're going to separate the two electrodes and submerge the tips into a glass of water. Okay, each one of them in a glass, okay, separate glasses. Okay, then you're going to, second one is to turn the current up, galvanic current up, and the negative pole is actually going to give you more bubbles than the positive one. That's how you can tell if it's actually working. Okay. The positive one, they're kind of like smaller bubbles, but there aren't as many. But on the negative one, there's going to give you lots of bubbles. And this is just in a regular thing of water. That's how the current's working through there. Come to find out that one of our units was down. It was not working. And that was the only way to find out whether it was or not. Okay, so on the first one where it says test for the polarity, you're going to write in there, separate the two electrodes and submerge them in to a glass of water. I'm going to do this separately, okay? One positive and one negative in two separate glasses. And then the second step on this would be to slowly turn up the current on the galvanic and check for the bubbles. You'll have more bubbles in the negative, and you'll have smaller bubbles in the positive. Because the first one, the negative, is putting in that disincrustation where it's got an alkaline base, which would give you more bubbles. It's like soap. Okay. So speaking of electrodes, all right, you have one for your positive, or one for your anaphoresis and one for your cataphoresis. So, and they act as basically your positive and negative particles in your treatment solution. So you can write in under your electrodes, they act as negatively or positively charged particles in the treatment solution. And how we use these electrodes, okay? The active electrode is the one that's held by the esthetician. So I've got the active one and I'm actually working on her face. So I would probably be doing negative, okay, with my alkaline solution. My client's going to be holding my positive, the inactive, okay? So look at it this way, the inactive is always held by the client and the active one is always held by you, okay? Because we still have to have a complete circuit with a positive and negative in there. So the active electrode is held by the esthetician and the inactive is always held by the client.
The active
So
client?
Excuse me?
The active client?
The active is for the esthetician,
Okay.
inactive is for client.
Mm.
Okay, so these active and inactive electrodes are known as cathode and anode. Okay, and your cathode is your negatively charged electrode. Okay, so you're going to write in there, it's the negatively charged electrode. It's sometimes referred to as N or negative or black in color. Okay. So negative, N or black in color.
Miss Janie, can you repeat what was in the purple boxes? please?
Yes, active electrodes held by the esthetician. Inactive is held by the client. Because we have to have a complete circuit, so you have to have a positive and negative working for it. Do you see what I'm saying? So she gets one and you get one. And because you're doing the treatment to her, you're going to be using that active electrode. Does that make sense? Okay. So your cathode is going to be your negatively charged, your anode is going to be your positive charge, or it's going to be known as the P or positive or the color red because it's the hot one. Think about car batteries, okay? It's the easiest way to remember that. So the way I remembered the electrodes being anodes and cathodes is this. Electrode, the last three letters of the word is ODE. Look at your anode and cathode, ODE. You'll know right from there that those are your electrodes, okay? And your electrodes are always going to be opposite your phoreses. So when I'm doing anaphoresis, I'm going to be using the electrode by cathode. If I'm going to be doing cataphoresis, I'm going to be using the electrode anode. They're just opposites of that to help you remember. Sometimes it's a little easier to see it on a bulletin board where I actually place everything out there. But while you're on break, I will actually do a pH scale so you guys can copy that down. Some of you already have it, but some of you do not have it. Okay, it's looking like our break's really close here, right? So I'm looking at my time. It's 11 o'clock. So how about 11:13? That'll give me a time just so I can make you a little pH scale, okay? All right. I'll see you back here in 13 minutes. Yeah,
Okay, your students are coming tomorrow,
no,
and you don't have theory tomorrow?
Yeah.
You
I do
do. What
have theory.
time?
one at 10 and one at, 12:15, I think, because I told them like 12:30 to, because you have your class after that. Are you gonna do it just today?
It's today.
Okay, then I'll just close mine up earlier then.
Yeah.
Okay, that's no problem. Okay, got it. Donovan, can you do me a favor? Can you send out a message just to make sure that they know their Cosmo Theory today is at 12:30? Thank you. I'm sorry. Asking because I just don't know who they are. Okay, thank you, honey. Bye-bye.
Hey, Miss Janie,
Huh? What's that?
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I've been wanting to put retinol into my nighttime skincare routine, but I use a serum in the morning that has vitamin C and glycolic acid in it. Will it be okay if I use retinol at night and be able to use my serum in the
Okay, is
morning,
the-
or should I
It
just
should be fine. Is the vitamin C a treatment or is it supposed to be applied every day?
No, I apply it every day.
I know, but is that what it's supposed to be used for?
Pacifica. Yeah, it's every day.
Okay, all right, because your retinol is kind of like a little treatment that you're doing at night, right? So your vitamin C, you're using your sunscreen right behind it, right? Because you're not supposed to be out in the sun with that vitamin C and the retinol and the like all three of the glycolic you shouldn't be using.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, I put sunscreen on every day.
Okay.
Yeah, so I put sunscreen on every day, but I use the glycolic acid after my regular skincare routine. But I just want to know if I can add retinol and it won't do too much to my face, because I know glycolic acid and retinol are
As long as you're doing it at night and you're not doing them both at the same time. Like doing one in the morning, one in the evening, that's fine. And then if you feel a little irritated or it's too drying, then knock off one of them. Okay? Because the retinol is used basically to prep that skin, you know, for like a peel or to get rid of that dead skin that needs some help. Okay. Let me let her in. There you go. So do you understand how they're used though? That vitamin C is used for hyperpigmentation, yeah. But are you using it for the hyperpigmentation from scarring, from acne? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yes.
Okay, then that should be a different type of a treatment. Okay, there's a serum that Dermalogica puts out just for that type of hyperpigmentation because it's different than the one from sun damage. Okay, because this is the one that's being produced by your body because of the trauma, right? So we have another little solution. You want me to go get it so I can show you what it looks like? And grab it from the cabinet.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be coming tomorrow too, so you can show me tomorrow as well.
Oh, you're gonna come in tomorrow? Okay, good.
Yeah, I'll probably just come in tomorrow, so we can just go over it tomorrow.
Okay, not a problem then. You'll be, no one else is coming in tomorrow, right? Anybody else?
Miss Janie, I'm coming in tomorrow.
You are? Okay, that's good. Thank you.
You said if we don't actually come to school to just log on at our normal time, right?
Right. So you'll still have theory, but then you'll have an assignment to work on for the rest of the day.
Okay.
Okay. And then today's assignment, I'm not going to put it up. I'm sorry, I can't put it up until after 1:30, 2 o'clock. It'll be up. Okay. Because I've got part of it, but I don't have the rest of it because I didn't know how far I was going to get into this assignment. So I will give you an assignment to do, but you'll still have theory tomorrow. I just want to make sure everybody understands that. Okay, I sent you guys a picture of the pH scale on your zip.
Miss Jenny?
What's up, hon?
Tomorrow online, right?
You can do online or you can come in. Doesn't matter.
You told me I can't come in because I'm not
Yeah,
good at it.
well, yeah, you should. Yeah, you're just gonna stay there because you really can't do anything tomorrow, anyways.
Okay, I can come tomorrow. 8 o'clock.
You're gonna be working on your manipulations all day.
Oh, okay. I can come tomorrow.
Yeah, but you'll be working on the manipulations,
Okay.
right? Okay. So,
Thank
sure,
you.
if you want to.
Okay.
All right. If you check your phones or your messages, you should have gotten this in there. Okay, everybody get the little chart that I sent you? Okay, so what I'm getting at is like a lot of the test questions at board, okay, are going to ask you questions about the galvanic. It's going to ask you questions like, if I'm doing an anaphoresis treatment, which electrode am I using? So if you can, in your mind, okay, because they'll give you a piece of paper at the board and you can write out the pH scale so that you can see it in front of you, because sometimes I can't answer a question unless I see it in front of me. So I can always write out my pH scale doing 0 to 14, okay? And then 7 being in the midpoint, which is your distilled water, all right? Anything below 7 is going to be an acid. Anything above 7 is going to be an alkaline. So if I remember that anaphoresis and alkaline are on the same side, okay, then I can pretty much fill out where everything else has to go. Do you see what I mean? Anaphoresis is on one side, that means cataphoresis is going to be on the other, correct? Cathode on one side, anode on the other side, okay? Your acid's always going to be red, okay? Your alkalines are always going to be black. The higher the number, the stronger the alkaline. The lower the number, the stronger the acid, okay? So basically what it's doing is this, you've got both ends all the way to the end like this, and when you add water, more water, more water, more water. So it's like in the middle, it's all straight water. Do you see what I'm saying? And so if I take a little of that water away, I'm getting stronger on both sides until I get to my 0 and 14. So knowing again, oh, excuse me, hang on. I got 2 little numbers on here wrong. Did anybody catch what I wrote that's wrong? Okay, go to the very bottom, and where it says open and closes, you got to switch those, okay? The black one is going to open, and the red one is going to close. I just saw that on here, I'm like, wait a minute. Closes, and the black one is going to open. So please adjust that like now so you don't forget that. There you go. So it should look like that. Okay. This one's going to say closed and this one's going to say open. Okay. Did everybody change that on their sheet or at least on their notes? Because I don't want you to get this wrong. Okay. Another thing they're going to ask you is this. How many, on a logarithmic scale, how many is 7 to 6? Okay, each number is increments of 10. You're basically going to multiply. So if I go from a 7 and I go to a 6, it's only going to be 10. If I go from 7 to 5, it's going to be 100. If I go 7 to 4, it's going to be 1,000. Huh? You're going to add another 0 for every number that you go lower. So if you want to, on a piece of paper, you can write like your 0 to 6, right? So from 7 to 6, it's 10, okay? And from 7 to 8, it's 10, okay? But from 7 to 5, it's going to be 100. 7 to 9 is going to be 100. Okay, you're just going to add other zeros behind it. So 7 to 4 is going to be 1,000. 7 to 10 is going to be 1,000. Do you see where I'm going with this? Because it means that that 7 or that 4, excuse me, is 1,000 times stronger than just water. Is basically what they're getting at. So you just added other zeros. So when you get to 7.3, you're going to have 10,000. Do you see where I'm going with it? 1,000 to 10,000 to 100,000. That's how it's going to work. And you'll go the same on the other side. But if you're only going 7 to 8, or if I'm just going 9 to 10, it's still only 10. Okay, 10 times as strong. It's only when it starts at 7 and it moves 2 or 3 numbers up on either side. That's when the numbers actually increase. Okay. So if you're needing to know, your 7 to 8's 10, 7 to 9, 100, 7 to 10, 1,000, 7 to 11, 10,000. Okay, 7 to 12, 100,000. Do you see how I'm going this? It's multiplying by 10. Okay, and then it's 7 to 6, 7 to 5, 7 to 4, 7 to 3, and so on. And using the same thing, when you go lower, it's going to be stronger on the acid side. When you go higher, it's going to be stronger on the alkaline side. Okay, so let me ask you, where is your skin? The pH of your skin?
It's 4.5.
Anybody remember? Right, okay, so let's just say, out of curiosity, right? You're going to put skin between the 4 and the 5, okay? Because it's 4.5 or 4.5 to 5.5. Peel is an acid, correct? All right, in the state of California, you can only go down to a 3.0 for your strength of your peel. So it's either 30% or 3.0 on the pH scale. Anything lower than that would be considered a physician's peel, okay? So if our skin's 4.5, by going a little bit lower, we're damaging that skin a little bit, right? To wake up all those cells underneath, the elasticity and the collagen cells, we're trying to get them to wake up and start producing again because we've done some damage to it. Remember, damaging actually wakes everybody up. It sends all the repair guys to that specific area and starts repairing very quickly. Okay, that's why we do this. But you don't want to go too low because you can cause damage to the skin and tissue, or trauma at least. So you see what we're talking about? Your peels are going to be your acids. They're going to go lower than the 4.5 to 5.5. Now, physician peels can go down as far as 2, okay, 2.0, but we can only go 3.0 or 30%. Okay, and you need to know that because that's a test question. Okay. All of our cleansers, you'll be glad to know, our cleansers sit within that 6 and 7, okay, which is very good because what it's not doing is drying the skin out when it cleanses the skin, okay? It leaves the acid mantle intact. It doesn't strip it of its natural oil, but it does cleanse, okay? And a lot of over-the-counters and soaps, they're on the alkaline side, which really dry and strip the natural acid mantle, okay? So ours stay within the same pH as skin, basically, without disrupting it. Okay. So, do we all understand what our pH is now, that pH scale? Okay. The pH stands for potential hydrogen. Okay. And that scale is what we use to determine the acidity or alkalinity of a water-based product. Okay, and the reason why you have it into your electricity is because you are using electricity with chemicals. Okay, so here's another question. If I'm using the anode, okay, what pole am I using?
Positive?
Positive, yes. Okay, so these are how the questions are going to be written to you, okay, as far as electricity and chemistry, all right? They're going to ask questions about one or the other, and that's why it's so important to understand how to write out the pH scale for yourself by memory, okay? And it isn't really hard if you can get your anaphoresis and alkaline on the same side. You can literally understand how to put this out on a piece of paper from your mind, okay? All right. Any questions so far on that we've covered? Everybody's good with it? Okay. All right. So let's move on to the very bottom of that where it says polarity changer on the same page, 180, right? And the polarity changer is a switch that moves from positive or negative, okay? Remember I said if it's not plugging in for positive and negative, you might have a switch that you'll lift up when you're working with the positive or if you're working with the negative. So it's just a switch that can change the polarity from negative to positive or positive to negative. Okay, that's all it is. Just a little switch that changes it. So in your two little pink boxes, it says the electrode in the positive mode equals an acidic reaction. And that would be a question that was at board, okay? The electrode is in the positive, what solution are we using? Okay, and it's going to be an acid. The electrode in the negative mode is going to be your alkaline reaction. I just remember alkaline and blackheads. I just want to get the soap to clean out the blackheads. That's how I remember that one. All right. So here's your next question that goes into Tesla current, which is also known as, okay. Tesla current is an alternating current, which means it's an oscillating current. And oscillating basically means a high rate of vibration. That vibration is so high that it doesn't cause a muscle to contract. Okay, so Tesla current is an alternating current or oscillating current that can be adjusted to different voltages to produce heat. And that's basically the definition of it for board, okay? Which machine, okay, alternates to different voltages to produce heat. And automatically it's going to be your high frequency or your Tesla or your violet ray. All three names mean the same thing. Okay, so Tesla, AKA alternating current, AKA oscillating. You're going to write in there violet ray or high frequency.
Miss Jenny, I'm confused where the electrode in positive mode, what we write down, you know, what the action.
The positive one is acidic.
Select?
Acidic, an acid.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, and the negative is an alkaline. Okay. All right. So your high frequency current, I want you to write in there AKA alternating current, AKA oscillating. OSCILLATING. Okay, oscillating current. Okay. That can be adjusted to different voltages to produce heat. Okay, just like your galvanic had electrodes, your high frequency has electrodes also, okay, and they are glass electrodes. These glass electrodes can be filled with a gas. One of them is known as argon gas and one is known as neon gas, okay? So argon gas is going to give you a purple cast to that glass. The light inside it's going to turn purple. That's why it's called the violet ray. Okay, and the neon is going to give you more of a warm orange or reddish kind of color to it. And they'll tell you that the purple one is used for like normal to oily, but they can be used for both. They literally can. But again, argon or neon gas, depending on what color it is. Okay. And it's used to increase circulation, okay, or to penetrate a product even deeper into the skin. Similar to when we're using the galvanic, when we were pushing nutrients into the skin to nourish it, this one is actually, I can use it for my gel masks to penetrate and hydrate that skin. Okay, does everyone understand that? Ours happen to have like a reddish color. Which does anybody have from their personal one at home? What color is your light when it comes on? Is it orange or is it purple?
Our light for what at home?
For your high frequency unit? Some of you bought one to keep at home, remember?
Oh, I haven't used it at home yet.
It's okay. But basically it has an argon or neon gas inside of it, okay? And it'll change colors depending on which one it is.
Mine's, I think it looks like red.
Yeah, it's a reddish orange or something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so your purple one basically is the neon excuse me, the argon gas. And the neon is the reddish kind of color. All right, go down to where it says ozone. Okay, and this is the gas that's created when oxygen in the air around the electrode is electrified. You know, it sounds funny, huh? Okay, the gas is created when oxygen in the air around the electrode is electrified. So it's used, that ozone is used to kill bacteria. So it might be on your steamer. You might have a little switch on there telling you, or it might be in your hot towel cabinet. You guys were asking about what that ozone's for. Okay.
Can you repeat the definition?
It's basically the definition of it. Okay, it's gas created when oxygen around the electrode is electrified. So it has a germicidal effect, is what it does. Or what they call healing or a drying effect, okay? That's what it's used for. Okay. Did you get that in there? Okay, it's the gas created with oxygen
Yeah, I
in the
got it.
air. Yeah, okay. All right. Sparking. Okay, this is not legal in the state of California either. Okay, but people will learn how to do it. The reason why they don't like you to use it is because if you do it incorrectly, you can cause hyperpigmentation on the skin. Okay, so that's why they usually don't. So there's two ways of doing it. The first way, and this is, you're not going to write this in your book just yet, but the first way is taking the electrode, okay, and placing it as close to the skin, but not touching the skin. Okay, so it creates that gap between the electrode and the skin, so it can target a specific area. So I can actually work it around one little area, and you'll look, it looks like a little lightning bolt coming off of it. Okay, that's one way of using it, called the sparking gap. The other way is to take, I'm going to say this is my gauze sheet, and you know the gauze sheet has large holes in it, correct? Okay, I can fold it over once, and I can fold it over twice, and I can fold it over 3 times. In the meantime, holding this between the skin and the electrode leaves a gap. But this time I don't have to hold it close to the skin without touching it. I can actually touch the skin through this because there's a gap where the gauze is at. Does that make sense? And so when I work around, I don't have to worry about shaking my hand trying to get it close to it, okay, but not touching it. I can actually just put the gauze onto the skin and put my electrode on top of the gauze, and it creates that gap that they're talking about. Okay, you just won't see the little lightning bolt because the gauze is holding it back. So what you're going to write in the sparking area in that first block is it creates a spark gap. Okay, a space between the electrode and the skin to provide germicidal, healing, and drying effects. Okay, so it creates a spark gap, a narrow space between the electrode and the skin, used to provide germicidal, healing, and drying effects. All right. The second block in there, it's going to be more powerful ozone effect is created. A more powerful ozone effect is created by slowly lifting the electrode away from the skin. So more powerful ozone effect created by slowly lifting the electrode away from the skin. It does, it kind of looks like a little lightning bolt when it's coming off of the electrode towards the skin. Okay, your next block, you're going to write in there, more oxygen is allowed in the area. Therefore, more ozone is produced. So more oxygen is allowed in the area. Therefore, more ozone is produced. That ozone is going to kill that bacteria. Okay, your next one is going to be, typically the argon gas electrode is used. Okay, typically the argon gas electrode is used. All right, and your next block, too much ozone can actually damage the tissue. So if that damage occurs, it's going to leave a brown mark on the skin. Okay, so too much ozone can actually damage the tissue of the skin. And if the damage occurs, then it will leave brown marks or spots on the skin. You want to not lift it more than 1/4 of an inch from the skin. Let's put it that way. Okay, don't lift it more than 1/4 of an inch. Now this last one might confuse you a little bit, but I'm going to explain why. It says high frequency treatment should not be performed more than once every 2 months. Okay, what they're discussing or they're talking about basically is using it for a full 5 minutes. Okay, when we use it for, like, say, eyebrows, we're just doing it like not even a couple of seconds. When we're using it just to clear up that bacteria after we've done, say, extractions and we've used our galvanic first, and then you use the high frequency to clean up anything. It's very quick, but if you're using it for a full treatment where it's included in 5 minutes, you wouldn't want to do more than one treatment. Okay, does that make sense to you guys? Because I don't want you to get confused and think I can't use this more than once every 2 months, which is not true. Okay, it is if you give a full 5-minute treatment to somebody. So let's say you were trying to make her hair grow on her scalp. Okay, you might want to use it for a full 5 minutes. Okay, in that sense, you wouldn't do on the face. You see what I'm saying about doing it once every 2 months at that point? When you're going for that long a period of time, you're only going to do it once every 2 months. But when we're doing it just to clear up the bacteria, or we're trying to get our eyebrows to go, a couple of seconds is all it's on there. You're perfectly fine. Okay. So I just want to make sure everybody understands how those brown spots can be marked onto the skin, and you don't want to cause that, because that's the whole idea, is to clean that up and not cause any more damage to the tissue. Okay. We should be, I'm looking at my time, 11:41. Okay. How about 181? Okay, on your book. I'm just going to go through a couple things real quick, and then homework will be assigned after my next class. Okay, so I can get all of it together. All right. In the high frequency, there are 2 applications. Okay, and they're known as direct high frequency or indirect high frequency. Okay, so look at the direct high frequency. Okay, and this is where you, the esthetician, will hold the electrode and apply it directly to the client's skin. That's the easiest way to remember it. Direct high frequency gets directly applied to the client's skin. So of course, this is going to be used on oily skin, right? To dry up and kill the bacteria. So the skincare specialist holds the electrode, applies it directly to the skin, and just underline that word directly because it helps you remember direct high frequency. Okay. It uses the formation of ozone to produce those germicidal effects. So it's going to treat oily skin, congested skin, acneic skin, that's the type of skin. Now your benefits for your indirect or for your direct current is going to be The first one to stimulate surface tissues. You're going to stimulate surface tissue. The second one is going to create heat on the surface of the skin. Create heat on the surface of the skin. The third one, increase circulation and blood flow. So increase circulation and blood flow. The fourth one is to dry the surface of the skin and the excess sebum within the pore. So it dries the surface of the skin and excess sebum within the pore. The fifth one is to heal existing papules and pustules. It's going to heal existing papules and pustules. And then your last one, it delivers a germicidal effect and kills the bacteria on the skin. So it delivers a germicidal effect and kills bacteria on the skin.
In the first column you had for the direct high frequency, I missed the last point. It said uses.
Oh, formation of ozone. Yeah, formation of ozone to produce those germicidal effects.
Cool, thank you.
Not a problem. Okay, so indirect high frequency, okay, I always think of indirect is where the client is actually holding the electrode and the electricity is going to be coming through your fingers through a massage. Okay, so what I want you to write in there is that it aids in penetration, okay, aids in penetration of product and assists in massage for mature skin. So, aids in penetration of product and assists in massage for mature skin. Okay. Again, you have to remember that the client's going to be holding the inactive electrode. Okay. Even though she's going to be holding the electrode, she's holding the indirect electrode. So the benefits on this one are, the first one is to warm that tissue, warm it up. The second one is to stimulate sebum production and secretion. We want to get it out of the follicle. And then the third one is to induce relaxation. So we have warms the tissue, stimulates sebum production and secretion, and induces relaxation. Okay, so if I'm going to be doing a massage on my client using my indirect high frequency, what manipulation should I be using? Because there's only really one that I can use. Okay, because remember the massage, the current's coming through my fingers to her face.
Efforage.
Actually, it's not even that one. It's friction is the only one because you're not lifting your hands up off of the skin. Okay, because every time you lift up, you're going to leave like a shock, like you had moved the electrode away from her, right? So because the current's now coming through your fingers, all you can do is the friction movement. Okay, tapping like this is going to shock her every time I lift my finger up and bring it back down. Okay, does that make sense now? Because the massage is being done. When you're using it in the direct mode, okay, you're going to be doing your massage with the high frequency. Okay, so this one would be a 5-minute massage if you think about it. Do you see what I'm saying? Because all I'm doing is this. All right. When I'm using the indirect, I'm only doing it for a couple of seconds to dry up that bacteria. Okay. Any questions so far on those machines, the galvanic or high frequency yet?
Yeah, so Miss Janie, so
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna be giving my boyfriend's grandpa a facial this week,
Mhm.
and he got Botox done about like what, like 3 weeks to a month ago. With that, can I use the high frequency? And if I can, should I do direct or indirect?
Okay, what are you trying to achieve? By using it?
Decreasing the wrinkles.
Increasing the
Because he still
wrinkles?
has some.
You
Yeah,
mean
so
to
he
decrease?
still has some wrinkles.
Okay.
Huh?
You mean
Yeah, I said
decrease?
decrease. I didn't say. Yeah, I
Okay,
said
all right,
decrease, yeah.
so, okay,
I
so,
wanna do that.
all right. All you're trying to do, is his skin dry?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, he,
Okay, well,
yeah,
because
my
when it's dry skin, okay, and you're using it indirectly, you're trying to produce more lubrication in the skin, right? Because you're gonna get more oil from it. All right, more oil is gonna make the skin look plumper. Okay,
Okay.
kind of like when there's more hydration in it, okay? So you would have to be doing it in the indirect mode
Okay.
through your massage, okay? But just remember though, if it's oily, it's just gonna produce more oil.
Right.
And you've kind of learned from, all of you have learned that if you do have oilier skin, okay, and you're increasing circulation, whether it be with electricity or not, just with your hands, okay, that's going to increase oil production. That's why now, since you learned how to do your manipulations, I'm trying to get you to understand you can use different manipulations instead of just the regular one I showed you, that European massage, because that will make people that have oily skin break out, okay, and it'll produce more oil for them. So there's other massage methods you could give them that they can still get the benefits from the massage, but not get the oil production. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And
Okay.
then with that, so it's part of the massage, right?
Mhm.
So do we do it with the massage cream or without massage cream?
You can,
Okay.
you can.
And then
Okay,
you
because
said
you want a little bit of slip when you're doing it.
right, and then you said it was okay with his Botox injections, right?
Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem like that. Just make sure he does no heart problems, no, pacemaker, no
Right.
electrical pin, nothing inside of him that, that might be a contraindication. It's not
Right.
diabetic. Okay.
No, he's very healthy for an 80-year-old. It's crazy.
Okay, there's a page,
Actually,
what I'm gonna give you. I'm
Miss
gonna give
Katie?
you a page. Part of your homework today, I'm gonna give you a page that I want you guys to fill in today, because it's gonna be really rather important. And it's actually on page 182. Okay, and I'm gonna have you start with this part of your homework. I want you to fill in the precautionary measures for the use of electrical current. Okay, it should be on page like 191 to 193, something like that in your textbook. But the very first one is to check the outlets to make sure that there's no loose fitting plugs. That's your number one, okay? But basically what I want you to put in there is all the little precautions that we have to take when we are using electricity on our clients, okay? So tomorrow I'll actually go through these to make sure you've got the right ones in there, okay? But that's part of your homework today, is to fill in the precautionary measures for the use of electric current on page 182, okay?
Miss Janie, I had a
Yeah.
question.
Uh-huh.
It kind of actually had to do with what Danielle said. But
Okay.
so if someone gets injections or like lip fillers or any kind of filler or anything, is there typically like a time frame you should wait to do like a facial or any sort of like electric procedure?
Yeah, facials, I don't know if it's like a couple of days or something. The injections, depending on what the injection is, it might be a couple of days or a week.
Mhm.
But I'm not really sure, but I will look up that today and find out and give you an answer, okay?
Yeah, it made me really curious actually.
Yeah, I did, me too, when she said that. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah. So some said 24 hours and some said 48.
Yeah. And that was just either Botox or like a lip filler, like
Yeah. Those are
Juvederm or
just
something like
injections
that.
in general. They
Okay.
want you to be careful.
Stay away from
'cause-
the injection site.
Yeah, well, that and applying heat and then pressure and massage will move the injection and move it all.
Yeah.
And you can give yourself like drooping eyelids and like weird warped lips and all that other stuff. So they want you to wait like at least 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, and because you had said it'd been like a month, almost a month. So he should be fine. I'm gonna look it up to make sure, okay, exactly what it is. All right. And I'll get back to you again tomorrow. Good question though, really a good question. Okay, so it's about time. I'm gonna let you go for the day. Again, I just want you to start off on the precautionary measures first, okay? And then when I'm finished with my second class, which is I started at 12:30, okay, I'm gonna give them 2 hours. So as soon as that class is over, I'm gonna make sure you have the rest of your homework, okay? All right. Thank you, guys. If you don't have any questions, I'll let you go. All right. I'll see you tomorrow then. All right. Bye-bye, hon.
Bye, Miss Jeannie.
Regina, I need to ask you something.
What's that, hon?
You know about homework 6.2, you know, and you know what I do? I think we need to fill up this one, and I fill up and I send to you picture. I fill up what to do today. I fill up before, you know, I have like 2 hours and I translate. Look, see, I translation to my language, and I read all the material and I send to you. I think it was my homework, you know.
Okay.
And we studied today exactly what I sent. If you see the picture, what I sent to you. Yeah, you understand me?
We're gonna do today. You're gonna do the precautionary measures, okay? It's on page 182. Do you see that yellow box? Okay.
This one. Look.
Yes.
I fill up already.
So, yeah. Okay, but I'm not gonna give you the rest of the homework after I do my next class. Okay.
Okay.
Because I have another class at
when
at 2:30. I will. Today, I'm going to tell you at 2:30 what your homework is. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So
okay. Okay. We have more online today.
Yes, you have more. No, not anymore online.
Okay. Okay.
Just on the your text message, it will tell you. Okay.
Okay. And all tomorrow, right. 8 o'clock, tomorrow morning at school.
Yes, 8 o'clock.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.